Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom to Chiefs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Friday. The Chiefs wrapping up their first week of training camp today. That's right, they will be off Saturday, but they'll be back in pads on Sunday. Finally, we'll get to see some contact. We're going to talk about stuff we've seen so far in camp, plus more. But before we do, you know the drill. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications because we have daily, that's right, daily videos Monday through Friday here at Chiefs Latest. You're not going to want to miss any of the action, so hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, as it not only helps me and the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the first question that I pose on this lovely Friday episode is, should the Chiefs add Dalton Risner to the offensive line experiment? Now, I'm not sold on shaking up the Chiefs offensive line experiment in camp just yet, but we have to be real here as fans of the Chiefs that the left guard, that is still a huge red flag. Looking at Kingsley Suamataia, he had a brutal 39.4. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. 39.4 PFF grade as a rookie last season. Those are disastrous numbers. And Mike Caliendo, I think that would also be a shaky starting option for you. So you have the potential of two shaky starters. And if either goes down, you are in deep, deep trouble. So how do you combat that? Well, you could bring in Dalton Risner, a Missouri native, who is, in my opinion, probably an upgrade or at least a solid insurance piece. He had a 76.2 PFF pass blocking grade last season, 13th among guards. And after I just said Suamataia's entire PFF grade, I don't know how that just doesn't sound miles and miles and miles better. It does. With that grade, the ability to pass block like that, it screams a fit for a pass-heavy Chiefs offense that is aiming to go more vertical this season. Also, his 81 career starts, including 8 last season with the Vikings, he brings some veteran stability. Minnesota's moved on from him, by the way, because they brought in Will Fries, they drafted Donovan Jackson, it left Risner available, and I think he could be an option for the Chiefs. Yes, he's 30 years old, but he's a low-cost add. That works for your cap space. But again, messing with this O-line right now, you're risking messing up with the chemistry. You're risking messing up some development in key areas, especially with Suamataia. Yes, he could be a mentor, but if Suamataia can get first, team reps and get developed that way quicker, why wouldn't you want to do that? But Risner on 537 snaps allowed 16 pressures and 0 sacks. That is huge for keeping up someone like Patrick Mahomes. You just need some left guard insurance. Risner's passing blocking ability shields Mahomes better than Suamataia, in my opinion. His experience at both guard spots adds flexibility, if Caliendo falters or injuries just happen to hit the O-line. So Risner's, it's a tempting, I'm not going to lie, it's an tempting insurance policy for the Chiefs' shaky left guard spot, something that they could definitely look at and I think should bring in if you can get him for cheap, especially if it's his elite pass blocking and veteran chops. But I probably hold off for now, work with what you have, keep it going, unless, of course, an injury arises soon in camp. But again, just keep the O-line experiment simple. Don't, try to throw too many pieces in there. Your main goal is to protect the one and only Patrick Mahomes. Here's a little fun topic for you now. Not, as serious as some of these others, but still pretty fun. And that is, could there be a potential coaching hire for the Chiefs in the future? That's right. If you look at Andy Reid's coaching tree, it includes John Harbaugh, Ron Rivera, Doug Peterson. So it's safe to say that, Andy Reid has an eye for talent. Also, his 143-53 record in 3 Super Bowls with the Chiefs, that backs it up pretty well. I don't think I need to say anymore. So when Reid praises Tyron Matthew as a potential tremendous coach, his own words, tremendous coach, post-retirement, I think that's something worth noting and something that Chiefs fans should keep an eye on. Now, of course, Matthew retired this week after 3 seasons with the Saints. He was a 3-time All-Pro safety. His physicality, his leadership, that transformed what the Chiefs defense was at the time, especially during a time when they won their first Super Bowl in 50 years. His 36 career interceptions, 100 pass breakups, that came with a studious approach. That's perfect. That kind of approach is perfect for coaching. He's also expressed interest in coaching, which is huge. More the college side and going back to LSU, but he did say that he has an interest in coaching. Pair that with learning under, Reid and Spags. I think that makes him a pretty natural fit for the future chief staff role. Not only this, but his culture changing presence in KC. Now, they have a great culture right now, but bringing in someone that with that kind of culture as well, that was there to bring in the Lombardi trophy back to KC, I think that just adds to his case. So, of course, a 2025 hire is very unlikely, probably almost 0%, but Reed's endorsement, Matthew's vision, I think that points to a potential future sideline role at Arrowhead. Again, his film room obsession, defensive IQ, I think that translate or will translate to coaching, especially for mentoring DBs like if you got on the Chiefs, like someone like Jamari Connor. His energy could replicate Spag's defensive culture shift. I just like it. I think it'd be fun to have him. He's not joining the Chiefs staff tomorrow or the next month or probably by the end of the year. But Reed's praise, Matthew's coaching interest, I think that makes him a future hire to watch. And again, his all pro pedigree, KC roots, again, just 3 seasons, but what he did in KC, I think that could shape the next generation of Chiefs defenders. Now let's get back to, some more serious here and what's going on in camp right now. Well, one rookie is receiving a lot of trust early, something we don't necessarily see, and that's rookie Omar Norman Lott. He's gaining some rare trust from these coaches early. Of course, train camp off to a hot start, both in weather and just with what the Chiefs are doing. But, wide receiver, cornerback, that those two rooms have been grabbing headlines and the most attention, I'd say, so far after, they had some rough performances last season. Everyone wants to know what they're doing to get better. But defensively, the D tackle spot right next to Chris Jones, that's still a glaring question mark. Of course, you lost Deshaun Wharton to Carolina, so that's where this question arises. Well, second round pick, Omar Norman Lott, he's turning heads so far. Of course, just 3-4 days into camp, but he's turning heads. He's earning first team reps in camp the first 2 days. Spags leaning into his rookie this early is very rare. He usually trusts, vets or just someone that has a little more seasons under their belt for bigger roles. But the Tennessee product, 5 sacks, 27 pressures, and 9 QB hits in 2024, show that he has that pass rush spark. But again, just 225 college snaps, that raises concern about his stamina. Again, Wharton had 667 snaps last season. Then you look, well, who would be next in line? Jerry Tillery as the best veteran option, a guy who's been probably inconsistent at best. And then after that, it's a very thin DT room. Very thin. Norman Lott's early trust from coaches, that could make him a day one impact. And they want him, it seems like, to be a day one impact with how many reps he's getting with first team. His quick first step, pass rush instincts, those were honed in OTAs. And that's going to fit these aggressive schemes that Spags can throw at you. If you build stamina, to handle 400 plus snaps, I think you could ease a lot of pressure on Jones, and you're going to help boost a pass rush that dropped to 39 sacks in 2024. You were hitting, 50, 40, 1, 2 seasons ago. So the fact that he's getting these first team reps, the fact that he's gaining trust from Spags, it's rare, but it's a good trust signal early. I think he's ready, or he should be ready, or the Chiefs want him to be ready to fill Wharton's shoes at D tackle. His college production and camp performance, I think that outshines what Tillery can bring, especially his inconsistency. Again, I think this makes him a potential game changer for the Chiefs than D line. But what's been going on in camp? Well, let's talk about what happened on Thursday in the camp session at Missouri Western. It was electric once again. Patrick Mahomes, Hollywood Brown this time getting some love, just solidifying that connection there between those two. Mahomes hit Brown on a deep post, getting by Connor, who we just kind of talked about and praised earlier, but got past Connor and then later floated a perfect, how Mahomes does it, a little sidearm pass to Brown in stride. We love to see it. We love to see that kind of action, that little spark from Mahomes early. Of course, they were doing that 11 on 11, so also a good sign. Josh Simmons, Jalen Moore, they continue to lock down those tackle spots. And again, Connor held first team slot reps, showing that he can play many spots and that his nickel versatility is great. Mahomes targeted Rashee Rice early. Again, 2 of his first 4 11 on 11 passes was to him. But Tyquan Thornton had a red zone touchdown grab in 7 on 7s. That screams for a potential roster lock, especially with Rice's, suspension looming here very soon. But tight end Jake Brennanstool and wide receiver Jalen Royals shine with their reps, easing and earning some praise from Andy Reid for their smarts, for their playmaking. The plays on Thursday, again, Mahomes 11 on 11 targets. Rice had 4, Worthy had 4, Brown had 2, Kelsey had 2, and Royals had 2. Under the radar standouts, again, Stool's physical catches and Royals route precisions. I think that makes them offensive weapons. It could be early contributors to the offense. And again, this is all coming from Breed, too. He believes that their precision make them offensive weapons. Thornton's speed, ability to high point, I think that, could allow him to get a wide receiver 4 or 5 position candidate, especially if Rice has to be out. So Thursday's camp showed that the Chiefs offense is clicking still, especially from Mahomes to Brown. We love to see those deep shot and that connection. Simmons and Moore stabilize the tackle spots right now. Connor's slot work adds defensive flexibility. And then, as we just talked about, Norman Lott's stock continues to rise. With pads on Sunday, we'll get a real glimpse of this team. Well, that is all that we have for this Friday's episode. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments and what you thought of any of the 4 topics. I think over here, there we go, any of the 4 topics that we talked about today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you haven't already. I'm your host, Calvin Silvers. You are watching Cheifs Latest, and until next time, have a good one.